I'm not an expert on Johor food by any stretch. I remember the first time I experienced Johor food as an adult was when I was ironically in Singapore visiting some friends having travelled in from Australia, and they wanted to take me out to dinner, but instead of eating in Singapore itself, they wanted to drive across the border into Malaysia to Johor to eat seafood. And I remember coming away from that meal thinking, that is really good. And then many years later, I was in Malaysia again to film some non-food related shows for Malaysian television, and we were in Johor again, and so we weren't actually necessarily looking for famous places to eat or to feature, right? We were just eating mostly at roadside stalls, but each time I came away thinking, you know what, Johor food is really unique, really good, and I don't understand why it's never been on my radar. So this is kind of like my belated way to showcase Johor to you as a non-food expert, but with the help of some people who are, including my Masters of Malaysian Cuisine chefs and some pretty well-known names that you might recognize. So stick around and have a look. This episode of Street Food Journeys features Chef Dato Ismail making Laksa Johor, the JetLag Warriors, Club Alami's Sea Warriors Market, Marco D, award-winning tour guide Shaukani Abbas, me Rebus by yours truly, Chef Rene Jufri, Chef Dave Murugaya, and Chef Bob Adlin. I asked MOMC at Hearts Chef Dato Ismail Ahmad, Tourism Malaysia Ambassador for Culinary, what dish he thinks of when he thinks of Johor.
Okay, if I think of Johor food, obviously first thing in my mind is Laksa Johor. It's my most favorite. Try it.
Together with me here is Chef Raja, been working in Johor for the past 20 over years. So she going to assist me, or rather I assist her to cook this special mee, Laksa Johor. We don't call it mee, Laksa Johor. Special about Laksa Johor, we use spaghetti. We use spaghetti instead of egg noodle, okay? This is already boiled spaghetti. Okay, to prepare Laksa Johor masala powder, you need coriander seed, anise, cumin, nutmeg, and chili powder a little bit. Yeah, you roast it and then you grind it into powder. Then you mix it with the chili powder. This is the fish stock that we boil. These are the ingredients that we have grinded. All this dried shrimp, fish fillet, and also prawn. We blend it into like a mousse here. Yeah, time for us to cook. Come, Raja. Okay, Chef Raja going to show you how to masak this. First, you add in the chili, the dried chili paste. You have to fry the dried chili paste first. If you don't have the dried chili paste in your country, you can use chili powder or chili flake. Or chili powder is the best, okay? And you mix it with water, then you fry this because I want to see the oil turn red. Yeah. And what is next? This is the onion. This is the candle nut, garlic, ginger, galanga, onion, and lemongrass. Normally, what I do is drain it. Yeah. Nanti dia cepat masak. Make sure you fry this nicely and fragrant. Yeah. Laksa Johor masala powder. Fish masala powder. Fragrantly, nicely, make it so nice and happy. Look at that. Oh, sedap. Okay, once it boil nicely, like making curry like this, and then you add in the, this is the fish fillet, boiled fish fillet with fresh prawn, yeah, and dried prawn. This is very, very delicious, okay? And it got to be thick, not too thin, because originally Johorian eat it with fingers, kan? But of course nowadays they use fork and spoon. And of course knife sometimes. And when to serve Laksa Johor, it is during festival. Yeah, and very rare you can get them if you go to Johor to eat Laksa Johor, because this is a very premium item. And it's coconut cream and the curry seed all together. Just a little bit of salt. Don't want too much lah. Nah. So sedap. Okay, done. Now I'll show you how to assemble the laksa. Let's go inside the restaurant. Okay, see you there. There is some noises in the kitchen, so please forgive me. Okay, because we are busy preparing for Ramadan. So anyway, so this is the spaghetti that you already bought to al dente. So you twist it nicely. This is how Laksa Johor been served. Okay. Normally they serve it on the plate. See my stepmother there? Just say bowl. Now, you pour in the gravy. Looks so good. Okay, this is the local basil, but you can use sweet basil, no problem if you are in your country. Long bean or French bean, no problem. Okay. Salted lobak. Salted, you can go to the ASEAN grocery. You can get salted lettuce. Chop it, yeah, fine. Yeah, sliced cucumber. Peel the skin and you julienne it nicely. Vietnamese basil or daun kesum. Onion ring. Okay. And here is bean sprout. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching how to prepare Laksa Johor. Thank you, Chef Raja, for being together in cooking and preparing this for me. Till then, see you. Happy eating. I'm Chef Ismail from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
The JetLag Warriors had an opportunity to try Laksa Johor when they were in Malaysia. Now, Steve famously does not like the fish. So what they think of the dish? Let's find out.
It'll be a messy one.
It's gonna be eating with the hand. Now, what would be my strategy? Oh, I should probably squish the lime. Let's do that. By the way, beautiful preparation by Ivana. Beautiful gift from our friend, and then Ivana arranges it beautifully on a plate here. So maybe do this, right? I mean, I have to assume.
Yeah. I think you need to mix everything,
Mix everything
Yeah.
with the hand.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, don't be shy. A little nervous how to mix with the hand. Do I do a turn? Do I do a squish?
Oh no.
I'm gonna go for
Maybe you
a.
just grab a little bit
Should
of
I
it.
grab it and spin the plate like a
No.
mixer? No.
No.
Be a big boy. Okay, just mix like this.
Okay.
Is it right to mix?
Yeah, maybe.
Ivana, it's too late. I've done it.
Oh, look at this.
Is it too late, Ivana? I've done it.
This is the Malaysian spaghetti.
Malaysian spaghetti, and I can tell you right now, fish. That mixed job stirred up some wafting fumes. Okay, trying my best. Appreciate the gift. Willing to try, willing to learn. Spread the chili out. Oh man.
Malaysian style.
I mean, I'm just gonna shove it. I'm just gonna have to shove it in my mouth,
Come
Ivana.
on, shove it.
Let me try to get an onion in there and some
Okay.
celery and some of this pickled stuff. Here we go. It tastes good. I'm very thankful for the gift. I'm sure it's good. It's delicious. It's amazing. It's just not for me. I'm trying my best.
Look at it, like
Which
fish.
is, I guess, like blended or like smashed up somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah. That fish flavor is not for me.
I like both.
I like both.
This is also 5 stars.
Boom!
Most visitors to Malaysia are familiar with Pasar Malam or night markets, but we're going to visit Pasar Pendekar Laut, which is a fish market where visitors, including tourists, can buy seafood directly from the fishermen. I talked to Serena Rahman a little bit more about it. Okay, Serena, this is the way to the Warung, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Crossing the bridge.
Now, who does the Warung serve? Like, do you ever get tourists into that area, or is it just mostly local people?
Yeah, we do a tourist because under Kelab Alami we have a tourism program. So they do come in through the jetty. This is where they get on the boats to do our tours. But the people actually come in for the market, which you see on screen now. And what the Warung does is boost the sales at the market because we offer the food that is, cooked based on the seafood that we sell. So what you see in the screen is the local community buying some of the food so that they can prepare some of the seafood so they can prepare the dishes for customers to eat. And then if customers buy fish straight off the boat, from our market, they can also cook it upstairs at the Warung and either take it home to eat or eat there.
Oh, right. Very cool. So how long has this warung been running for?
Actually, the Warung only opened in June of 2020. But the market, the Pasar Pendekar Laut, has been open since 2016. So, we've been slowly working up towards trying to boost the sales, trying to tell people about the food that we have, trying to teach them about our sustainable fisheries, and then, the value that they get from eating freshly caught seafood, chemical-free. The most of the food that is served is seafood from below. The idea also is to teach all these young people how to cook these recipes. When it's not COVID, there are actually some local aunties who come in to cook as well, and so they teach the young people how to cook.
Ikut cara kita susun ketam itu agar dia tak nampak resepi dari saya, iaitu ketam sambal telur.
Marco D is an Englishman based in Malaysia. He's a TV presenter, actor, and YouTube and TikTok star. He had the opportunity to travel to Johor a few years ago. He joins us along with MOMC's Dave Murugaya to talk about it.
Now what I've noticed actually in a lot of these restaurants in Malaysia is they have these snacks before you eat, and in England we have nuts, we have crisps, we have chips, but in Malaysia it's fish. So this is called onsak otak, and it's basically fish wrapped up in this banana leaf. And you know what? It's really small, really good, really tasty, great for a snack.
So today we're talking about Johor, aren't we? And Dave, I imagine you're from Johor?
Yes, exactly. So I'm really curious from your point of view, what you have experienced in Johor, and when did you went and which part of the Johor, if you remember, and some of the insight about it.
Well, when I went to Johor, I didn't realize how big Johor was. I just knew JB, Johor Bahru.
Okay.
And then I went to all these little places, all these night markets, so many little restaurants that some of my friends from KL had never heard of that were just, really nice. I mean, just all the seafood, like the laksa, the Rebus, there's just so many things, right, Dave?
Basically Johor laksa, I believe it will be like a bit shock that we're eating with the spaghetti, right? What are the things that you really, really like, if give you a chance that you would like to try it again?
Well, Dave, I tell you what, I went there recently, and check it out for yourself.
Wow, this is like a bread making places.
Yeah, so we went to this bread place, and it was crazy because it was so busy when we went there in the morning, and people were queuing up just because it wasn't nice inside, like the interior. It was just a really simple place that has been around for many years. And I think that's what I love about Malaysia. They have the heritage is so strong. They have shops from ages ago, and the bread there was just, so many different types of bread.
Wow,
as you can see, I was eating in the car. Yeah. And it was just fresh. When you walked in the shop, you could just smell all the fresh breads. And there were so many weird breads that I would never have tried before. Like fish in a bread. I think there was one called sardinia or something.
Yeah, sardine bread, right? Yeah, it's quite popular in Malaysia, where they put sardine as a like a sandwich kind of thing in a bread.
For a Westerner, sardines in bread sounds disgusting, but when you try it, oh my gosh, wow. Yeah. And I went fishing. So we actually went to this prawn farm where you could actually get your own prawns and you can cook them. So that was a really fun experience. As you can see, I'm wearing the JB football top as well there.
Okay, cool.
What do you think about the Johor seafood?
I personally, because I come from a smaller, like a small town in Johor called Segamat. So there we are quite popular with our durian, with our pomelo, and all those we call it kampong dishes. So they're not really much popular of seafood, because I think JB is nearest to the seaside and all that. There's some small islands which might, popular for the seafood.
And that's quite strange, because in Malaysia, you would expect places like Sabah to have nice seafood because they're really close to the sea. But in places like JB, the seafood is still really, really good. And towards the end of the night, I actually went to this place where they had so many different types of food. They had these night markets, not just in JB in Malaysia, but in JB, I went to this one night market and everything's so cheap. And it's so good.
I mean, that's the place for us to, get all this. Even if you realize in night market, not only food, right? You get all sort of things like, groceries, like books, like, shirts and all sort of stuff like sport wears and jackets.
Yeah. So if somebody hadn't gone to Johor and they went to a night market, what kind of food would you suggest for them to try?
I think like the apam bale, like otak and like satay and all this, like in a big pan they are frying the noodles, char kway teow, fried rice, and I mean all sort of things like part of our like a must in our bucket list when we go to night market. And like the soybean curd, like the taufufa we call it, all that is like a must, and the grilled corn and all sort of things.
Well, you saw me eating the otak. I found that really strange, because in the UK we normally, for starter, we'll have maybe garlic bread or nuts. And when I saw the otak, that was the first time I actually tried it in Malaysia, and I thought it was really strange that they had fish for a starter, but I thought it was really cool. And that as well, it's so cheap. I'm thinking to myself,
I mean, like basically the night market food normally will be a bit cheaper, because it's like a street food and people serve in a small portion. So if you're traveling to Malaysia, don't just come to KL, go to Johor, because the night markets are great. You can find so many different things. You got seafood, you got so many different restaurants. And as I've mentioned for the third time now, it's really cheap. It's so cheap. Yes.
So much things.
Award-winning tour guide Shaukani Abbas joins our co-founder Paul Gray, who has never visited Malaysia, and talks to him about places to visit in Johor.
So Shaukani, what can you tell us about this glass? What can you tell me about this glass temple? And
yes, Paul, this temple is known as Arumiga Sri Raja Kaliman Glass Temple. And for your information, Paul, this is the first and only glass temple in Malaysia, has stayed and is listed in the Malaysian Book of Records. So it's very different, Paul, this temple from other temples. The only one.
Okay, that's really cool. It must have been really hard and really expensive to create.
Maintenance too. But it's really a must for you to travel to Johor, have a look at this temple. It's very unique. But remember, when you visit this temple, please remove your shoes.
Yes.
and also make a small donation to the temple. Right?
Okay, that's really cool. Like, I mean, the thing is, especially traveling as a Westerner, I'm not used to a lot of the different values and beliefs held by other people and sort of the practices. So it's nice to sort of respect other people's values when you go there. And I think when I go to Malaysia, I definitely want to see this because it looks really impressive. And, it's nice just to see different people and different sort of places of worship. So yeah.
Yeah, true. Because the Hindu population in Malaysia is less than 10% of the total population of Malaysia. So it's a quite interesting temple. You should visit. It's
Okay,
cool.
and how long would a tour through this temple take?
Well, depends on if you are a photographer, it takes a long time, but usually make it around an hour. I think it's enough for an hour there. Now you are looking at recreation park. This is somewhere in Mount Opia, at the foot of Mount Opia. It's a recreation park, and they have a lot of chalets and waterfall and pools for you to enjoy yourself there.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Okay,
That was very
no problem.
informative.
Thank
And
you very
yeah,
much.
can't wait to see it.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Rene Jufri is a Michelin-trained five-star hotel executive chef and part of Masters of Malaysian Cuisine. He was born and raised in Malaysia and spent part of his childhood in Johor. He joins me to talk about Rebus Johor, which I attempted to make for the first time. So Rene, tell me about Johor, because I find like on my very, very brief trips to Johor that the food is really like delicious, but I can't quite put my finger on it. So what is so special about Johor food?
So, okay, Johor is quite unique. I would say like other parts of Malaysia though. Why it is quite different in a sense because where it's located, one, geographically, because remember, okay, you have Malacca. That's the main part where all the spices comes and all those. So the next city that got hit with the culture is actually Johor. All right. So and also they are in the coastal. So this is one thing that makes it quite unique in a sense, and how it's diverse in ingredient and culture itself. So Johor, if you want to say Johor, all right, you get a lot of seafood at one. At the
Right.
same time, you also have like noodles. You have most of the street food kind of go into bread base as well, with beef, something with gravy, a lot about noodles, like gravy noodles, you can say. Even asam pedas, people do relate about Johor as well because again they're quite near to Malacca, right, along the coastal and all the spices. So Johor, if you want to know about Johor food, it has spice around it. So to make it easy to understand, if you notice every single dish that you try in Johor, it has spice, but again
Okay.
in a different twist. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
how Johor works. Yes.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so I'm going to play this clip for you. Now, I have had Rebus in Seremban, and it was very, very different. But I thought that just like most people who grew up in Malaysia, the version of whatever dish you eat in your part of Malaysia, you think that's how it should be done, right? So that was the case with Rebus until I came across Rebus Johor. Like I said, I had to Google it, and also I remember our chef Bob, our MOMC chef Bob, he made a Rebus gearbox, I think it was one time, right? So this one has that vibe. It's instead of using gearbox, I'm using just bones here. So I've got the sweet potato that I'm steaming, and in the meantime, I'm actually pressure cooking some beef bones and some beef ribs here. But I noticed when I Googled Rebus Johor that there are a few different versions. So that's really confusing. So this is kind of like a little bit of a mix of like a couple of different versions, and also it's simplified, So I'm just using brown onions, which, here in Australia, that's really all I use. I don't use a mixture of small shallots and like big onions. I just use straight out big onions. And also we've got some garlic that's going to come into play. But yeah, the Rebus I grew up eating in Seremban was actually vegetarian, very, very spicy and very, very savory, no sweetness in it at all. This one, I hear that Rebus Johor is meant to be a bit sweet. Is that right?
Correct. Rebus Johor, it has that sweet because of your sweet potato that you use. It must have that, yes. So you have the savory and sweet, yes.
what I want to clarify is muah. I hear a lot about muah, right? And mi bandung. So how is mi bandung different to mi rebus?
So mi bandung and mi rebus, with the same, it has the same foundation of ingredient and spice.
Okay.
But muah, it's a little bit more of its additional, what do you call this? The ingredients that they use. So
Okay.
by texture wise as well, the
Okay.
muah one has more body.
Okay.
In a sense,
Okay.
yeah, it's more thicker.
Okay. And by the
So
way, the spices, I just use onion, garlic, and what do you call it? Dried shrimp here. So all the recipes call for galangal and ginger. I just cut them out because I wanted to keep this fairly simple. And having said that, even though it's simplified, it still took me quite a long time to make this. It took me like about 1.5 hours, you know. And I'm just adding some Baba's curry powder here, some beef curry powder. Is that normal to do that in a mee rebus or?
So in mi rebus, not really normal to put a curry powder.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
So it can be an option. So it's because of where again, everyone in the areas, they have their own preference. So if in an area that is quite near towards the I would say near to Malacca area, they intend to put more spice. You
Okay.
find that it's more spice. But if it's towards actual the central or towards further south, it's
Right.
a bit more milder. It's only the chili of it that you get.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spice
Yes,
is
I use some chili powder in there. And also I noticed some of the recipes added tauco, which is like a ground bean paste. So I put some of that in there, but it's not something I would have thought to add in a mee rebus. Is that a Johor thing or is that like quite common?
So yeah, for tauco it's not really a Johor thing. It's more actually it's more towards the Nyonya, the Chinese.
Okay, sure.
Flavors to it. Yeah. So
Sure.
that's because of the sweet. Because some flavors between savory and sweet is
Okay.
for some people they won't be able to get the flavor, right? So that's
Okay.
why the tauco to be in the middle to
Sure.
meet the flavor. Yes.
Right, right. So I've just mashed up the sweet potato as you saw and just added in there. And now I'm adding some gula melaka, some palm sugar in there. Is that what you would do as well with the and some salt now? And of course I use chicken powder all the time, but yeah, you can pretend I didn't say that, all right? Because I know Rene is our super elite Michelin trained chef. But anyway, but yeah, so would you actually add some of those stuff that I did or not really?
So for palm sugar, you can have some because
Okay.
again it depends on the meat that you use. If you use a fresh cut meat, then you might opt for the palm sugar because the meat is fresh and sweet.
Okay.
So that's how it works, and also your sweet potato kind of reacts to it. So if you use bones, more of a bone, so you can put some palm sugar. So at least it
Okay.
balances out. Yeah.
Right, right. You know, I'm cheating here. What I'm using, actually, I'm just deep frying some crackers. Because I know with some of the recipes I came across, they made their prawn fritters to go
Correct.
with it. But I wanted to keep it simplified because it would end up taking me 2 hours to make this. So I just used some, this would be prawn crackers, except I didn't have any prawn crackers. So these are actually cassava crackers. Just, you know, like I said, just to give it that crunchy texture. But again, it's, by the way, so if you guys are watching this, this is not, like, no recipe actually said to use crackers. That was a Jackie M thing, okay? So I'm just adding the stock now. That's the other thing, because the version of mee rebus in Seremban that I had was vegetarian, it never occurred to me to have any beef or any beef stock in it at all. Is that quite common in Johor or?
Yeah, so for mee rebus Johor, it must have chunks of beef inside, and you get all the flavors of the actual broth from the beef. So mee rebus Johor has to be beef, but obviously when it comes to vegetarian, then they will change it without the beef, or for what you call this, for chicken maybe you can opt, but very rarely that you find the chicken mee rebus. It's always beef.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so I just basically boiled some noodles here. Is that the typical kind of noodles you would use? Those are like just Hokkien noodles.
Yeah, so your typical yellow noodle, the egg
Yeah.
noodle. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's anything that you can grab from there. So it's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Cool. So I just had a boil. It was like I meant to boil it harder, but it just turned out soft boiled. But I like soft boiled eggs anyway. So I'm just garnishing it with the fried tofu and some of the cracker and some of the sauce, and garnishing it with some spring onion and some chilies. So that's my attempt at Rebus Johor. So does that pass muster? What do you think, Rene?
I mean, it's if you say you wanna do something like this on a street food, it's already a good approach to it. It has the looks already, the color, right?
Okay.
The elements is there.
Well, thank you so much for this, Rene. I really appreciate it. Our Masters of Malaysian Cuisine chefs, Bob Adnin, Dave Murugaya, and Rene Jufri answer the question, what dishes do you think of when you think of Johor?
Hello guys, just want to tell you guys, if I want to think about Johor, I will think about two dishes from Johor. First is otak-otak, definitely from otak-otak Gelam Patah, and another one, definitely mi bandung muar. Super delicious. You should try it.
Hi guys, I'm vegan chef Dave. Okay, since I'm from Johor, if you ask me what are the top 3 things that really famous in Johor and that you should try it out, I would say maybe mi bandung, mi soto, laksa Johor. Oh my god, everything is noodle, right?
Okay, if I think about Johor dishes, okay, my top favorites I would say laksa Johor, then murtabak cheese, in Majidi, and kuih lopes. Don't forget about that. Kacang ful, and mi rebus, and also asam pedas. So those are my top dishes if I think about Johor.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our little tour of Johor and all its beautiful food. Now, if you want the recipes, don't forget to sign up at malaysianchefs.com/streetfoodjourneys, and we'll send it out to you once it's ready, along with all the bonus content that we couldn't fit into this episode. And we're back here next week for Pahang. I'll see you then. Have a great week ahead. I'm Jackie M.